Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast is the Darkest Timeline. And today on the Darkest Timeline, a little bit of a check-in, I would say. I noticed recently, whilst doing some podcast coding, that there are a variety of different things that I say these podcasts have in them that I realised they haven't had for a while. So I decided to do a little bit of a update. A few other things to talk about. Why fitness people are obsessed with food. Weight loss. That's on there. That's on the tag. So let's talk weight loss. Running, working out, something from the week, getting absolutely boned by fitness trackers. Games, no movies, but I explain why, and TV are all there as well. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Obviously, the big one, the one we like, the fave. Share that podcast around. Right, let's have a little check-in. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline. Hello! What up, party people? Had to surprise myself as usual because time she be ticking. Some unfortunate delays this evening, which has made it a little bit later than I wanted. None of that's important because if you're listening to this at like 8 o'clock on a Thursday morning, freaking difference does it make what time I recorded it. What difference it makes is there's a lot to go through in a way. This episode, this podcast, this week, however you want to categorise it, I don't know how podcasts are categorised these days. Episodes. Although I produce podcasts that have seasons, so I don't know. Maybe this one should have a season. We're on season 10 or something. Today, this episode, I'm probably going to be murdering a cat shortly if he doesn't stop dicking around with the fucking door. Asshole. I decided to do something different. I did something podcast-based the other day. I was producing a podcast. Because, you know, it's one of the things. One of my many talents. Honestly, I've turned into more of a podcast producer than a podcaster in the last few weeks. Whole other story, whole different thing. Nothing to really go into now. I was doing something podcast-based. I was uploading some stuff to the internet, and I looked at the tags that I use, and I was looking at the tags for this particular podcast, and I was like, it's funny because I always tag certain things and never talk about them. As time has gone on, as things have changed, goals have changed, interests have changed, and other such things that I put down as relevant to this podcast have become a little less relevant. So I was like, hey, let's do a little update. So today we're going to be updating a few things, going to be talking about a few other things, and then there's the usual. No movies this week. I've been watching a movie on the treadmill. It is absolutely not the first time I've seen it, and the only reason I'm watching it... No, that's not the only reason. There are two reasons I'm watching it. One, I wanted to see if, although it's a slightly higher rating than I would be comfortable with, if it was something that my eldest would be able to watch. Got about halfway through and went, I don't see anything wrong with this. And then I was reminded why it's got the rating it's got, and I was like, damn it. Made it so far. And I haven't finished it, so I won't even be able to talk about it anyway. So, no movie, a lot of games, and we'll get to that much later, because instead of all of that stuff, first we're going to get through the stuff from the week. I probably need to caveat. Don't know if I still need to do this these days or how it works, but do need to caveat. There are a couple, maybe more, depending how you look at it, a couple of subjects in this episode that some people may not want to entertain. See previous podcasts that I have put lengthy caveats on for it's the same subject, so I'll just leave that one there. Let's get into it. I have very recently been listening to a lot of sorry, I had to make a small edit there because of said cat or asshole. I've been listening to a lot of fitness related podcasts, sort of. I would go heavily into things like algorithms, but short version is a series of fitness people come through my algorithm because of things that I look up and things that I search and things that I watch and things that I'm interested in. And if you want me to believe anything, just tell me these words: scientifically proven. Don't show me the data. Don't show me the scientific proof. Just use those words. Believe anything you tell me. Anything. Short version is I like a bit of science with things. So, if you are a sports scientist, I'm probably going to believe what you say. So if you do a lot on the things that I am interested at this point in time, I'm probably going to listen to you more, and you're probably going to appear more, and then you're going to start appearing on podcasts, and I'm going to start listening to those podcasts, and so on and so on and so on. And before long, it's everything. So I watch a lot of videos around fitness and health and eating and working out and training and dieting and bulking and cutting and all the words. The best way to work out, the worst way to work out. Should you work out when you're sick? Should you work out when you're healthy? That's kind of my sphere at the moment. I'm sure that it'll be no surprise that is largely to do with trying to work out the best to get the best muscle growth, limit any injury, not waste my fucking time as a 45-year-old man, whilst also eating as healthy as I possibly can, whilst trying to get, all I really care about is getting massive protein. The fats and the carbs need to be a lot lower, and the protein needs to be a lot higher, and fingers crossed that will then take care of itself. Keep the calories to your daily calorie allowance, add to that, work out a shit ton. And the theory is that out the other side you should be lean and muscular and healthy and live forever. And what I can say from a scientific testing standpoint, absolutely none of that is true. So there you go. Something I've noticed recently, which as I found super interesting, is you've got these people, you've got podcast I've been listening to recently is a sports scientist, a doctor of sports science, and a professional fitness bodybuilder. That if anybody that knows anything about this sort of stuff might be able to work out who I'm listening to and what I'm listening to. And they have gone through many subjects up to this point in time. I do pick and choose somewhat. I didn't particularly want to listen to an episode about fat loss drugs because I have zero interest in fat loss drug stuff. Honestly, it just winds me up. But that's a whole other conversation. Something has struck me recently, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of enlightening in a lot of ways. And that is that even when you are, in a lot of ways, considered to be the height of fitness, you work out to the absolute peak performance, you eat to the exact number of calories you need for the day, to the exact amount of protein you need for the day. You work out your meals to fats and carbs and proteins, fibers. You know how to do the fat, carb, protein calculation. You are the tip top of the fitness food chain. You've got a doctor of sports science, somebody who has won fitness bodybuilding competitions. These are the people that are talking. Even they are obsessed with food. Like, so much. Like, if you look at, today we've got an episode where we're going to talk about should you train when you're sick? And then the episode's an hour long and 40 minutes of that is like talking about Pizza Hut. That is a very exaggerated version, but what I mean is, like, there was an episode where there was a constant conversation throughout about just food. And it wasn't a food podcast. These guys will talk at length about, I'm on a diet, and what that means is that I'm eating like broken up rice cakes with like some stuff to dip it in. And you're like, that's interesting. So yeah, you've got these like I say, fitness people, just obsessed with food. And I found it fascinating. Like, when I realised, I was like, this is fascinating. Like, you kind of work on the principle that these people are dialed in. They're like, I lift my weights, I take whatever substances, I get my 8 hours sleep, I do all my supplements, I do whatever, and just eat what I need to eat. Like, my take on it was always like, the what was it, chicken and broccoli. At this time I eat my chicken and broccoli, and at this time I eat my chicken and broccoli, and this time, honestly, it's like when there's dieting going on, they're obsessed about like what diet situations and how miserable they are. When there's no dieting going on, it's about what cheat meal this, cheat meal that, even though they all say that cheat meals are bad. And like I say, I understand the difference between like bulking and cutting and all that sort of stuff. But wow, it's constant. Like, no matter what the episode is, no matter what the subject is, no matter what any of it is, the food obsession creeps in. It's bonkers. Not gonna lie, doesn't help. Doesn't help someone like me. Obviously, may cause no surprises. I was just reading on my notes, and I was like, wait, did I not write? No, I did write it down. It's the last thing on my notes. Sorry, sidetrack there. I have struggled with food for a long time, and one of these days, you never know, I might go into all the ins and outs of why that is. But what I'm sort of getting to is that when people go on and on and on and on and on and obsess about food, I start to get twitchy, because obviously that is a struggle for me personally. Speaking of, and here's where the caveat comes into things, I fasted for the last, I was saying it was like 9 days, but it's not. It's 8 days. The last time I ate something was last Saturday, and today is Monday, and I've eaten today. However you want to do the maths, that is that. I was 1 pound off losing a stone. Now then, a few things to add to this. I had, I'd like to be able to say I had bulked up. But the reality was I'd got up to like the higher end of the threshold of where I like to keep my weight, knowing full well that I had a fast on the horizon. So when, screw it, it's a day. I'm just gonna finish up this, and ended a lot higher than I would have liked, which ultimately means there's a longer road to go. But I think I dropped like, was it like 6-8 pounds or something in the first couple of days, and then it's been a slow grind. There was a point where I weighed myself one day and I weighed myself the next day, like in the week of fasting, and I was the exact, to the ounce, exact same weight, and I was like, these are the days that really, you really struggle. Had a few goals in mind, not necessarily weight goals. I just wanted to get down as low as possible. These days it's more about the look, the body look. So there were some things that I was wanting to see, some things that I wanted to aim for, some things I wanted to achieve. I didn't. It does make me wonder, like, there are times like this when I wonder whether it's actually possible. There are times like this when I think the years of abuse on my body means that I can only achieve so much, and kind of makes me sad, because it's been a long ass road to get to here. And if the answer is you can't cross the finish line, that's going to suck. So, plan at this point in time, a week of eating. Going to try and keep it low and slow. Try and stick to the intermittent fasting as I always have. Try and stick to, I know this meal is high protein, low calorie everywhere else. Try and limit some of the stuff that I do during fasting, so that I can, try and see an actual difference. I imagine there's probably 5 or 6 pounds in my future going on. But if I can limit to that, that would be great. And then couple of initial ideas for next week. Potentially another fast on the horizon, and I think it's referred to as like cycling off a supplement. I only take one supplement. I just take creatine, for a variety of reasons. So I'm thinking, and yes, I know what you're thinking, it could be viewed as cheating, but I'm thinking fast plus no supplement, to drop some of the water. It will have an effect on muscle size, etc., but I have to accept that and kind of move on. I may find over the course of this week that with continued lower calories, the weight stays the lower end of the scale, and I might not need to. We will assess further into the week. There will be 2 fasting days to decide. One is literally day after tomorrow, so I'm hoping anything that goes on today, tomorrow, won't hang around for too long because of another day's worth of fasting. I had a rare day off. Yes. Now I know what you're thinking. Andy, how the fuck have you managed a day off with 4 children? Well, 2 of my children out here, and the other 2, on my day with them, went out for the day. It was their granddad's birthday. They were going out for a day trip, and it sounded like a raucous time, which allowed me the opportunity for a rare day off. And I know what you're thinking. A little round of golf, cheeky little round of golf. No round of golf for this guy. What actually happened was I looked at the funds. I said, whether I can afford a round of golf and whether I should afford a round of golf is 2 completely different things. And honestly, I think I'm going to err on the side of caution and say no to the round of golf. Now, in hindsight, a couple of developments over the course of the week, I should have gone to play golf, is the short version. I should have gone to play golf. Instead, what I did instead was I worked out all day. It was going to be super warm. Because of that, I knew I wasn't going to be able to walk the dog. So the plan was get out for an extended climb, 1 hour, 45 minutes. I don't believe that's true in the slightest. 1 hour, 15 minutes is what I meant. 1 hour, 15-minute climb, 15 minutes extra of climbing. Home, dog out. So that's a walk. And we're off to a solid start. All that was left was the need for a workout, a run, and realistically another walk. So I was like, well, I can do all of that from home. Got the dog out, got back, had a sit down with a coffee and a water. And then I was like, right, I want all this stuff out of the way so I can play computer games, watch TV, etc. So I put the Steam Deck on. Steam Deck was like, I've got a couple of updates I need to do. I was like, right, well, you can do those updates while I go and work out. Simple. Nothing is ever simple. The Steam Deck got locked into a download install loop that it could not escape. But that's a whole other subject. So I decided, let's get everything out of the way nice and quick and nice and early. This links into something else that I'm going to talk about later. But just to foreshadow what I'm going to talk about later, my fitness tracker has been fucking me over. Anyway, more about that later. So, in workout, that was an hour. Take it nice and steady, nice and slow. Really work it. And then straight into a run. Not straight. I came out, I think there was a drink and a protein shake situation. Will caveat the whole fasting with I was still using protein shakes for muscle, so that I didn't lose too much. So I think I mentioned that last week, maybe. I think I said that's what I was planning to do. Anyway. Got a run under my belt. And then I was dead. Figuratively speaking. So, came through. I was like, I'm just going to sit on the sofa for a little bit. Put the TV on. And one of the few times that I will ever thank a streaming service, because of the absolute obsession with motherfucking adverts, I reached a point where I was like, this is unwatchable. I physically cannot watch this. So I'm going to turn the TV off and I'm going to go get back on the treadmill because I can't fucking do this. I've said a lot recently, I think the days of streaming are coming to an end for me. Because this is just TV at this point. This is what TV was like in the 90s and the 2000s. It was unwatchable because of adverts. So I stopped watching TV. Time to stop watching this nonsense. Bearing in mind, I cancelled Netflix. We just still have it in our house. And I absolutely despise the fucking thing. So, got a walk, 40-minute walk to get the distance that I would have walked if I'd have walked the dog. Again, that's not true. What I actually mean to say is I got a 40-minute walk in, which was more like twice the distance. But again, that's a different subject I'll come back to later. That was my day because stepping off the treadmill as everybody else came back through the door, I was like, well, there's your day off. 2 thumbs way up and on we move. This is the second random day off I've had in the last year, and I have pissed them both up a fucking wall. So, yeah, maybe I should just not bother in future. So, when I tag the podcast, I'm like, podcast, games, movies, TV. We're on track so far. PS5, Xbox, Oculus Quest, VR, like all of these tags that I put on. Then I go running, working out, weight loss, something from the week, comedy and entertainment. Those are the tags that feature on this podcast. When I was updating it last week, I was like, I never talk about running. I never really talk about working out. I did in the past, but I haven't done for a while. So I think it's time to change that. So let's talk a little bit about running. Running, I'm having an interesting time with running recently. Basically, I've had a couple of days recently where I've started the day with a little email from Strava saying, you are no longer the local legend for this area. And I go, fuck off, Strava. I, not too long ago, was like, I wonder when the York 10K is. that'll be this Sunday then. It's not this Sunday. That was a few weeks back. And I was like, shit, I was going to do that this year. I had a conversation with Leanne. She was like, why don't you look at doing the 10 mile instead? And I was like, I mean, there's a bit of a difference. And I don't know if I could do 10 miles at this point. Because honestly, the last time I did 10 miles, the only time I ever did 10 miles, I genuinely thought I was dying. I got real scared that I might have been dying. I had to go and lie down afterwards. I felt like I needed one of those like those silver blankets. I was in a bad way. So, every now and then you get an email, you're the local legend, then you get an email a few days later, you're not the local legend. What has been nice, I've had a lot of personal best notifications, 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, 5k, sort of notifications. If you want a breakdown of my weekly running, I do 2 miles on a Monday morning. That's it. I do a 5k on a Tuesday morning, and that is followed by another 2 and a bit miles in the afternoon. So 5 miles of running over the day. Then when you add a couple of dog walks, which equates to about 3 miles. 8 miles, and then you've got whatever walking around you do on top of that. That's Tuesday. Wednesday is just a treadmill 2 mile run. Thursday is no running, but certainly more recently I aim to get my steps in. So if I've not done 10, 12 or 15,000 steps, I will aim to change that. And that is with treadmill usually. Friday, same as Tuesday. Friday is 5k followed by a 2 mile treadmill session in the afternoon. Saturday is recently it's been a more like a 2 mile run first thing in the morning, and that's it. And Sunday is a rest day. I had a conversation with somebody the other day. I was like, oh, are you still running like out that way? And I was like, I haven't done that in ages. Which kind of made me think maybe I should. So I'm toying with the idea of doing a run that I used to run all the time. It's just a longer run. So we shall see about that. Running was a big thing for a long time. It's no... I was about to say it's no less, but it is less. It's not my number one priority. I've heard and listened to a lot recently that talks quite extensively about how running is not as good for you as you think it might be. It's not as good for you as other things could be. It's not the be all and end all. You know, if you're a person that thinks I want to lose some weight, get out for a run. Well, you could do a variety of different things that are just as good, if not better, is what the scientific evidence is telling us. So part of me is happy with where my running is at the moment, and another part of me is wondering if I pushed it, what would I achieve? So there's that. As far as working out is concerned, I work out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, rest day, Sunday. Sunday is rest day no matter what. Things that are... I don't know where I was going with that. So, Monday, chest and triceps. Tuesday is legs and eggs. It's all about the legs on Tuesday. Big runs, big leg workout, like a monster leg workout. More running. It's just legs, legs, legs. Wednesday is all about the arms. It's biceps, it's triceps, it's just a heavy session. Also, the first climb of the week as well. Thursday, shoulder and back. Friday is it's more arms. It's arms and back heavy. Saturday, it's in a weird way, chest and arms. Sunday, rest. However, I have recently added into my workout routine set number of pull-ups a day. I don't know the different positions for the hands I have the option to do. I think I've got the option to do about 5 different types of pull-ups. I have been doing a lot of a certain type. It's unfortunately not the sort of type you would be able to do anywhere and everywhere because it's the bars facing towards you pull-up. But I've also done the other variations. Some of them I'm okay with, some of them I am not, but I'm working on all of them. Another thing is on the days of the week, I'm trying to think. It's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, there's like core stuff. Again, core is a bit of a weird one because there is a lot of evidence to say that you actually don't need to do core work versus another mentality that says you should work your core every day because it's the only muscle group that recovers at that rate. So why wouldn't you? And then there's the group that says, why would you bother? Because all other exercises work your core and so on and so forth. Like there's this thing about the plank is the most pointless exercise going versus if you can plank for 3.5 hours, you're strong. You know, I don't know what the answer is. So because of that, I work core. And I know it hurts, but I'm not getting the results that I want from it. So that's not strictly true. But to go into that, I'd have to get real vain. And I don't know if that's necessarily something I feel comfortable with. So as far as my working out is concerned, and the focus is, due to a lot of the stuff I've been listening to and researching recently, I found that I was just rushing through, just trying to get through it as fast as humanly possible to say I'd done a workout that day. And then was surprised when I wasn't seeing any results. Obviously, when you look into things, slowing it down, focus in on movement and trying to really just dial it all in. Next thing, I'm starting to see results. I found it interesting the way that certain aspects of my body has changed from these results. This slowing everything down. It hurts, but I think what they would probably refer to as more of a good hurt than a pain hurt. My eldest called through one day. She was like, "You all right in there?" And I came back with, "Yeah, I'm fine. Sometimes you just have to scream out the last 2 reps." And she was like, "Yeah, I get that." Which I thought was interesting because I was like, okay. So as far as working out is concerned, I'm in an interesting place. I'm in kind of a nice place. I was about to say comfortable, but I know that comfortable is not where you want to be. You want to be, uncomfortable. I've been looking at a couple of pieces of equipment to maybe get hold of. Might ask the Jolly Red Man to see if he would like to bring me some of these pieces of equipment. Obviously, as a fully grown human adult, I would like them sooner than December. So we'll see. It's freaking expensive though. So, price of a home gym, isn't it? So, what was I talking about before? Fitness tracker. What's going on here? My watch the brand of which shall remain nameless, but if you've ever seen me on a video podcast, you may have been able to work it out. My watch has been royally fucking me. And I do mean fucking me. I can't work out whether it's some sort of disconnect between apps, the Strava app, and the brand of watch that I have. What I can say is that the watch recently had an update which has absolutely fucked my universal charger. That no longer works again, because this happens every single time I do an update. I have done another update since. That hasn't changed, so I have to come downstairs and charge on the couple of chargers that I've got downstairs. Just fucking annoying. Fuck you. And so on. I have uninstalled the app that I use, and I've uninstalled it from my phone and reinstalled it all. And I thought that had changed things until it told me that to achieve my set goals, I was doing 300 minutes of exercise a day just to close out the move goal. And I don't seem to be able to solve that problem. Basically, I've had the watch running today. Like, if I've gone, like I walked into town and I was like, best put my watch on so it knows I'm, breathing. And like my workout, like the moment I thought I was going to go and work out, I was like, I better turn the workout on because otherwise it won't think I'm working out and it won't record it. The whole situation is generally fucked at this point in time. I'm having to do additional numbers, shall we say. I have worked out like a motherfucker. Last Friday, I had to change my workout to do higher reps with less sets. So I was still getting the amount of workout, but in a shorter time, purely because I thought I was actually going to collapse. And this is all off the back of this stupid situation. Ironically, Arnold Schwarzenegger sent me an email the other day telling me that my fitness tracker was ruining my workout experience. Irony. Final thing for the week is I went to a funeral. I think I mentioned recently that a lady I worked with passed away very suddenly, which is unfortunate in itself. And myself, a couple of others, we took ourselves off to the funeral to pay our respects. Nice enough service, and like I'd said to a couple of people, I was like, why does it have to be stuff like this that brings us together? Why can't we get together and do stuff? Somebody was like, because everyone's got kids. You've got kids, so-and-so's got kids, this person's got kids. And I was like, and? It's like, we are here. We are physically standing here right now. So if we can stand here right now, we can stand elsewhere and actually enjoy our time. But hey, we went and we sat and we listened. And it was, as far as a service goes, it was nice. There were a couple of things where I was like, I mean, that just makes the whole situation sadder for me. And it did raise an interesting point. Do you ever wonder what people will say about you at your funeral? I was thinking about, like, not necessarily like people like my friends and stuff being there and being like, he was an asshole. I was going to say like my family, but there's going to be so few of them there that I'm like, I'm like, what, my children? Maybe. Then what? Then who? So, I'm going to need all those friends of mine. And again, not sure who's on that list. But anyway, that's just me being whatever. But when they do the bit where they're like, oh, he was born here and he lived here and then he moved from here to there and then he moved from there to there and he went to this school and then while he was at school he found out he was a fucking idiot. Then he went to college where it was discovered that he was a real fucking idiot. And then he just went and got a job and worked and then he passed away. So I'm like, okay, that's not great. So I was like, well, it's the stuff outside of that. And I started thinking, like, you think in these situations, selfishly, you think about, what would it be like for me? What will they say about me? Is there going to be more than, it was a bit boring. And I was like, well, I do this and I do that. And in my spare time, I do this and that. And, I'm a dad. So I'm hoping that somebody would at some point be like, it was all right. Depending when it's my time, depends how old my children will be and whether my children will be like, yeah, it was all right. We had a good time. Or whether my kids are going to be like, fucking hell, I'm glad he's gone. So, like I say, I just raised this kind of thing of what will people say about you when you're gone? Maybe they'll say, terrible podcaster. Yeah. I've watched a lot of TV. Maybe that's what they'll say about me. Finished Series 4 of The Bear. Episode 9. Interesting. And Episode 10. Very close. Is what I would say. I think there was 4 people in it, and it was all set in this tiny space. And there was a lot of acting going on. Is what I'd probably say there. It was good. I enjoyed it. I found it strange because we finished the series and Liam was like, I feel like you forced me to watch that series. I'm like, the fuck? It was your suggestion. She was like, I don't. Leanne doesn't really do acting. So if somebody's giving an absolute performance, she's not super interested in that. She's more interested in what's going on and what are they talking about and stuff. And she was like, there were more questions than answers by the end of the series. I was like, give me an example. And she was like, well, what about this? I was like, well, this was this and this was this and that was that. You kind of have to follow the story with keeping up and stuff. Oh yeah, I missed that bit. No, that's why you don't know the answer to the question. So that was that. We finished it and I left her in charge of what we were going to watch next. So we have watched 4 episodes of Series 3 of The Blacklist. I was saying the first couple of episodes started out very much like what Series 3 needed. Series 2 was already becoming a little bit of a stale concept. It was difficult to get through. Series 2 syndrome, etc. Series 3 is very much opened up it's quite tense. However, 3/4 episodes in, we are now more in a it's back to being The Blacklist, really. They've sort of massaged it round, so it's still the same show, just ever so slightly different. So that's kind of that. I have played a little bit of VR, but it's been hot as balls. So one attempt had me sweating out of my eyes, and I just turned it off. Recently, the temperature has dropped somewhat, so I had a good session on the VR last night, just into the Radius 2, and I got it finished again. I do wonder where next for VR. I kind of played into the Radius 2 that much at this point that I'm a bit like, Don't know. I know they're working on new content at the moment, so I'm a bit like, yeah, maybe I'll wait for that. And there are a couple of games that I want to mod into VR. One of them I'm going to talk about shortly. So let's talk other computer games. I have weirdly stuck with Elden Ring as best I can. The video guide I've been using, yes, so sue me, I'm using a video guide. Couple of things has happened recently where they've been like, oh, now you can do this. And I'm like, I can't. I hope that's not going to affect the rest of the game. There was a point where I could have talked to a character, but they were like, oh, go here and do this and then go back and talk to them. So I didn't talk to them, went and did the stuff it told me to, went back and they were gone. I was like, my character's not there. What do I do? No mention of that. And then there was another point where the guy in the video killed a Crucible Knight, which I cannot beat. And obviously you get stuff for it, so I am behind in that sense. So from that side of things, I'm a bit like, is this going to affect the rest of my playthrough? Who knows? What I can say is I have beaten the first big boss of the game, which is Godric the Grafted. Before that, I had to beat this big, it was just a big monster. And I watched the video, I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I went and did it and managed to somehow like trap the monster against a wall and just hit it with a big sword and then it died. And I was like, okay then. And just kind of moved on. Fought Godric the Grafted. I've tried to tell my children and Leanne about my experience of fighting Godric. Nobody gives two flying fucks. So I'm going to tell you guys, for you not to care. Having watched some of the video and going, shit the fucking bed, this is going to be difficult. Summoned an additional player. Summoned my summons, which I'm using these skeleton guys at the moment, and sort of went in. And the way it starts is you start at the top of a hill looking down at Godric, and he starts heading towards you at pace. Now, the character I'm using on the PlayStation is a mage / strength build, so I just fired magic like meteors at him at distance, at length, and the summons went in and they did their stuff, and I'm chucking magic meteors at him, and then he turned into a guy with a big dragon head on his arm and shooting fire, and I ran out of magic and was like, well, I guess it's time to get stuck in. So I switched to the big sword, went in 2 or 3 hits, and he was dead. I think I got hit once in that whole thing and was like, I feel like a fraud because, you know, I'm beating these big old baddies and then struggling with imps, these tiny imp guys in like catacombs and dungeons and stuff who drive me up the fucking wall. Can't win them all, as they say. I also monumentally fucked up a section of the castle where Godric is and had to do it all again just purely because the video was like, do not save here. And I did. I used the Site of Grace and it reset the entire area, which meant I couldn't progress and I had to do the whole thing again, which was fun. I also lost 10,000 ruins in the process, which are the souls equivalent of souls. So there you go. You can glaze over whilst listening to that. I've played a small amount of DC Universe Online. Whilst my eldest isn't here, I'm trying to get... I'm trying to increase my knowledge of the game from the stuff that I've missed out on so that I can continue to look like I know what I'm doing when me and her play the game. I am failing miserably. The game has well and truly got away from me. I'm just like spinning around like some sort of headless chicken, but I'm giving it a go. I recently played a demo of a game called Hell Is Us, a game that is coming along fairly soon. And I saw it, I was like, yeah, I'll give that a go. And I did. And regretted it almost immediately because it was like, our game doesn't have a map or waypoints. And I went, then I am not fucking interested. I'm playing. I got so far and I was like, I'm going to go around this corner, and if this doesn't drastically change soon, I'm going to turn it off. So I went into a room, at which point a cutscene started where the character I was playing as pulled out a gun and started shooting something. I was like, I had a gun this whole time. And then the game completely changed. Off the back of this cutscene, you get a drone and a weapon and all this and the other, and then you start to be able to like fight and stuff. And it was basically a different game from that part on. I continued to play it and finished the demo and was like, that was interesting. Not sure if it's something that I'm going to pick up and like straight away, but it's something that I'll certainly keep an eye on, I think. Obviously, I have Assassin's Creed Shadows to play, and it... There's no way to slice it. The game is dull. I'm going to try and dig out a text message I sent the other day. Give me 1 second, because it's probably easier. So, Saturday morning, I text a friend of mine, and I said this. Let me tell you what's wrong with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Ubisoft have been working to a model of pure time wasting. Assassin's Creed Shadows is the peak of that endeavour. It's designed to be 100+ hour minimum, but I'd be surprised if 10 hours of that is actual gameplay. It's a game where you need another activity to do while it's playing itself. In brackets, I put travel from here to there on an auto route / horse. I spend more time doing other stuff while quote unquote playing than I do playing. Like I said in that message there, Ubisoft are very much in the camp of we want you to waste your time. And as a lot of people say when I talk about games, don't waste my motherfucking time. My time is precious and it is not okay for you to want to waste it. I don't really know what the objective is, whether it's, well, while you're playing our game, you're not playing other games, but it's boring. Every single mission at this point is talk to this person, travel for 5,000 meters or whatever unit they're using, talk to the same person again, travel 3,000 meters in the opposite direction. You can't fast travel anywhere because you haven't unlocked any of the fast travels, and even if you have, you're probably in some sort of combat, so you can't use the fast travel. The horse takes for fucking ever to get anywhere. It's so slow. So you basically just end up reading a book or scrolling social media or... Honestly, I feel like I need a different game. I feel like I need to get the Steam Deck with another game on it to play while I'm waiting for Assassin's Creed Shadows to do whatever the fuck it thinks it's doing. It could so easily be better. It just isn't. Off the back of that, I randomly stumbled on something. That statement is a little bit misleading. There was a point in time where I was going through all the stuff that's installed on the Steam Deck, and I saw 2 or 3 games where I was like, man, I really enjoyed that game. At some point, I should go back and give it another go. The Division 2, The Precinct, there was another one. I'd wanted to play The Tower, which I did play, and it was very much like, this is interesting, but it's a game that's making me kind of not want to get too invested at the same time. So there was all this stuff going on, and whilst I was scrolling through, I saw Hogwarts Legacy. Now, I am in I believe it's something like 1% of people who have finished Hogwarts Legacy. I finished it the original time I played it, and then Leanne traded the game in, and that was kind of the end of it. I ended up with it on Steam, and it is Steam Deck compatible, and as I said earlier, it is on a list of games I want to port into VR, mod into VR. Yesterday, it got hold of me, and I was like, I just need to get up to the point that I can use the broomstick. So 4 or 5 hours later, I was like, finally, I've got a broomstick, but I was invested in it by that point. And because I was invested in it, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll just play a little bit now. Like, I'm already like looking at the time now thinking, if I can get this podcast coded, maybe I can get half an hour on it. And it's that kind of thing. It's very much got hold of me again, which in previous attempts to play it again, it didn't. I don't know whether this is some sort of like rebellion against Assassin's Creed. I don't know if this is just because I play Elden Ring, I need a palate cleanser. I need something that's not high stress, high intensity. Oh my God, white knuckling it. Working on the principle I'm going to get discovered to be a fraud any minute. I just need something that's easy, cheesy playing. And I thought Assassin's Creed was going to do it. I've got DC Universe, but I've been playing that with my eldest. So Hogwarts seems to have slotted into that space. But there are a couple of other things that I'm thinking maybe I'll go back to. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Right. There we go. That is this episode. I was going to say this week's podcast, but that is this episode. And I will catch you next time. So there we go. What do you think to that? A little check-in. Check-in with the big man. That's right. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, do please like, share, subscribe and comment. Apparently I needed a voice for that because I tripped over my own tongue. Check out the website if you've not before, or if you just like visiting our website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Do come back, please. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Cookie Cast.